Hello and welcome back to my channel. My name's Ursula Bailey, and in today's video I'm going to be teaching you the difference between astral projection and lucid dreaming. Astral projection and lucid dreaming, how do they stack up against one another? Most people believe that the two are completely different, that lucid dreaming occurs within the subconscious mind and astral projection occurs when you project your consciousness outward. And when I first started astral projecting over 10 years ago, I thought the exact same thing. I actually experienced astral projection before I experienced lucid dreaming, but for me there was a clear difference, and that difference was the fact that when I astral projected, I experienced exit sensations. I kind of felt myself move outside of my body, whereas in a lucid dream, it tended to happen when I regained consciousness inside a dream. For me, the two felt completely different, and therefore I can totally understand why a lot of people think that they are different. However, as time went on with my astral projection experiences, the labels started to get a little bit confusing, and it seemed like they were kind of intertwining a little bit. For example, an early astral projection experience I had, this experience happened within kind of my first year of astral projecting. I had normal exit sensations. I moved outside of my body as normal. I was in the etheric plane or the real time zone. So basically I started out in my bedroom and I had this idea that I wanted to see how far I could go. And not through flying or teleporting or anything like that. I basically just wanted to see how far I could travel pretty much on foot. So everything was kind of standard. Like I said, I started out in my room, so I went through a wall, ended up outside of my house, and I just decided to walk. I walked down the street. Again, everything completely normal. My street looked normal, it was dark, but it seemed like the further away I got, the more things began to change. So the more distortions I started to have. And guys, it's completely normal to have some distortions in the real time zone or the etheric plane. The non-physical realms are so intertwined with one another. So you're getting overlays, and it's not like the physical where things are kind of fixed. So it is completely normal to have some distortions. However, it seemed like the further I got on my walk, the distortions were kind of getting crazier and crazier. So the first thing that happened was I passed a cat who started talking to me. I had a mission, like I knew I had to keep walking, so I kind of just stopped and I was like,
that's weird.
Kept going, and then suddenly things began to change colors. I began to walk through a huge field of flowers that were changing color from purple to yellow to pink. And this field did not exist at all within my physical reality or within the real time zone. I kept walking and finally I couldn't go any further. There was like a glass dome in front of me, so I could put out my hands and I could feel the glass, and I could see outside of the glass dome there was sort of like it just looked like space, like it's super intergalactic, and here I was inside of this dome. So I thought, well, that's interesting. But then the next thing I know, I see Spider-Man, and he's like literally web slinging around the dome. And guys, this was an astral projection, not a lucid dream. I started out with all the exit sensations, and I just found that really bizarre. And so, I come back to the physical and I'm trying to reconcile this in my mind, thinking that's something that would happen in a lucid dream. Clearly, Spider-Man web slinging along a dome has come from my own subconscious mind, right? So that was one of the first things that kind of really made me start to question how similar lucid dreaming and astral projection really were. Another thing was, you know how when you have a lucid dream, sometimes you talk to lucid dream characters and they're just kind of like zombies, like they just don't have anything interesting to say. They just kind of give you like a blank stare and walk away. So I was encountering the same kind of beings in astral projections. Not all the time, but definitely a lot of the time, especially if I was having a projection that looking back now, I feel like was heavily influenced by my subconscious mind. And on the other side of the scale, I've had lucid dreams that were hugely profound, where I've met with people who have given me huge downloads. I often talk about a lucid dream that I had where I met Michio Kaku, the physicist, and I'm not sure whether I met his real consciousness or just a piece of that consciousness. I'm sure if I asked him he wouldn't remember, but at the time I didn't actually know who Michio Kaku was. And basically we sat down together and he taught me a whole bunch of stuff about the human mind. There's no way that I could have that conversation with a regular dream character. Like, this was intense downloads, and he had like a holographic projector going at the same time, where he was showing me things. And like I said, I had no idea who Michio Kaku was at that time. It wasn't till maybe like a couple of years later that I started to see him coming up, I think on YouTube or something like that, and I was like, interesting, that's the guy from my lucid dream. I didn't think anything more about it. I just was kind of like, maybe I have seen him before, or maybe it was just someone who looked super similar to Michio Kaku. But then he brought out a book called The Future of the Human Mind. And that's when I was like,
okay, this is really weird.
He's a physicist. So I didn't really put two and two together that this guy that I had kind of seen online, Michio Kaku, was going to be talking at any stage about the human mind. And this book came out like a couple of years after I had this experience. That lesson came from a lucid dream. I regained consciousness inside the dream, and I was basically sitting at a table and Michio Kaku was there. So this was another thing that kind of confused me. How can I have these super intricate conversations where I'm receiving downloads and I'm learning so much in a lucid dream, and then sometimes I'll have an astral projection where I'm talking to someone and they just make absolutely no sense whatsoever. Another thing that I believed about the whole astral projection versus lucid dream debate when I first started was that in an astral projection you generally have a higher level of conscious awareness than what you do in a dream. And this can be true, but from my experience, your conscious awareness wavers in both states. So again, I've had lucid dreams where I've been super aware and super conscious, and I've had astral projections where I'm super drowsy and I'm trying desperately to cling to any piece of awareness I can. And then I've had experiences where one easily melds into the other. For example, I've had astral projections where I've lost conscious awareness altogether and basically the experience has turned into a dream. And on the other hand, I've had lucid dreams that have turned into astral projections. So here's me having these experiences and getting more and more experienced and more confused because we have these labels for things and I'm seeing them intertwine. Then I found the Frank Keppel resource online, and if you haven't already read the Frank Keppel resource, then I totally recommend you have a look at it. I'll link it in the description. And basically, when I read the Frank Keppel resource, it was kind of like everything just kind of clicked. And it's sort of like when you know something instinctively and then somebody confirms it and you're like, yes, 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 like it totally resonates. That's exactly how I felt reading the Frank Keppel resource. So basically, Frank Keppel, he's not a huge author or anything like Robert Monroe or Robert Bruce. He was somebody who contributed to online forums in regards to astral projection. But this guy, he knew his stuff, and I really feel like he kind of took Monroe's work and really expanded upon it. Basically, the way that Frank describes it is in points of consciousness, and this is something that totally resonates with me, and if you've been watching my videos for a while you will know that I often reference points of consciousness. So right now you are holding your awareness in a single point of consciousness, and this point is called physical awareness. So as you're watching this video, you are holding your point of consciousness to the physical, but if you were to switch your point of consciousness to a non-physical experience, then it's kind of like making a 180-degree turn. And this is exactly what astral projection feels like. I've talked about that sensation of moving to a different frequency, And that's the best way to describe it. It feels more like you just shifted your awareness. You could also shift your focus point to your subconscious mind. And you could shift your focus point beyond the subconscious mind. Ultimately, as consciousness, you are ever expansive. So there's a range of different points that you could shift your awareness to. Astral projection, as we know it with the exit sensations and what have you, and lucid dreaming are both gateways to a non-physical experience. How that non-physical experience plays out, whether it does so in your subconscious mind or somewhere deeper, has nothing to do with how you arrived. So basically, these focus points that we talk about, like the etheric plane or the real time zone, your subconscious mind, collective mind or group consciousness, unity consciousness, whatever you want to call it, these points of consciousness are all available from the non-physical. This is why some people are able to receive communication with passed on loved ones in dreams, or they have prophetic dreams, because the dream state is not down here and then the lucid dream state here and then the astral projection state way up here. They are all in the same kind of group. The reason why lucid dreaming and astral projection are the same thing is because, in all honesty, there's no such thing as being able to outwardly project yourself into some outer world. The outer world doesn't exist. All there is mind. And this goes back to the Hermetic principle, the law of mentalism, and this is something that's being talked about more and more by our modern day scientists as well. So pan-consciousness, the concept of one mind. Every individual consciousness is simply a piece of the one mind. And guys, don't get the wrong idea. I'm not saying that astral projection and lucid dreaming occurs only in your head. When I'm saying mind, I mean the ever expansive all that is. I'm not talking about your brain. I'm not talking about what's going on in your head. If anything, I would see your brain as more of a transceiver of mind. Mind is expansive. It reaches to the ends of the universe and beyond. So within mind, you can access individual consciousness, subconsciousness, group consciousness, mass consciousness, and super consciousness. Individual consciousness within this physical reality is like a game we play where we pretend to be separate from the all, where we pretend to be separate from one another, again, for the purpose of experience. But ultimately, all is mind and we are all connected. So when you're having these super deep astral projection experiences, especially when you're connecting telepathically with other beings or other versions of yourself, you are doing that because you're accessing that point of mind where you are open to the fact that you are not just individual consciousness. Looping back to the whole astral projection versus lucid dreaming debate, this would mean that there is no separation from the physical body. Both astral projection and lucid dreaming are experiences where you're just shifting your awareness from the physical to the non-physical. Again, these are inner experiences, but that's not to downplay anything. I'm not saying that everything's in your head. I'm saying to understand your capabilities as consciousness, an ever expansive consciousness, being a point of the one mind. Both astral projection and lucid dreaming are experiences that occur within. It doesn't matter how you got into the non-physical, all those points of focus are available to you. So you can astral project into the subconscious, you can lucid dream in deeper astral realms. Whenever you are holding non-physical awareness, there are always going to be overlays from those different focus points. I feel like even Robert Monroe has pointed toward this when he stopped using the word locale to describe areas in the astral planes and he started using focus levels. So guys, we could use the labels lucid dreaming and astral projection simply to differentiate the level of awareness or how aware you are in a experience. And sometimes I do that, especially in my channel. I will use the terms lucid dreaming and astral projection just because it's easier for the human mind to conceptualize. Even for me, it's easier to understand and talk about it that way. But basically, when you're using the terms lucid dreaming and astral projection, use them lightly and don't always try and think about whether an experience was a lucid dream or an astral projection, because ultimately they are all non-physical experiences. It's also important to remember that awareness will fluctuate in both types of experiences, so it doesn't really matter. When I do use the terms lucid dreaming and astral projection, I usually use them to describe whether or not the exit sensations were experienced and felt, or whether somebody just regained consciousness and they were already out. Because that's what a lucid dream essentially is. Like, you're regaining consciousness, but the exit has already taken place. Unless, of course, you're using a technique like wake-induced lucid dreaming. And that technique also really confuses people when they get to the stage where they stop experiencing exit sensations and they're just kind of popping into an experience. A lot of people will ask, well, was that a wake-induced lucid dream or was that an astral projection? Again, same thing. They are both the same thing. I'm not a hater on the labels, but I think it's just really empowering to spread the message for people who do only enter the non-physical through your typical lucid dreaming type entry. Just to let them know that lucid dreaming is just as powerful and just as profound as astral projection, sometimes even more so. I also feel like this information highlights how freaking amazing you are as a multi-dimensional being, and the fact that you can access these states as an individual point of the greater mind, regardless of whether you are conscious of it or not. If you liked this video, please like, comment, and subscribe. I know I dropped a lot of information in this one, so feel free to leave any questions in the comments below. Other than that, happy travels, and I will talk to you again soon. Bye!